You might not realize it, but government and laws play an important role in your daily life. Many laws exist for your protection and safety. But it hasn't always been that way. The machine age of the late 19th century gave rise to a new type of workforce as more and more people found jobs in manufacturing. But there were few laws protecting these factory workers. And the federal government paid little attention to the affairs of big business. As a result, factories across the country had a lot of power over their workers. Factory managers would often put workers at risk just to save money. Unfortunately, cutting corners to increase profits sometimes led to horrible tragedies. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory was a sweatshop located in New York City. Sweatshops were factories where the wages were low, the hours were long, and the jobs were dangerous and dirty. They frequently employed young women and children to produce goods quickly and cheaply. Many sweatshop workers were immigrants, people who had recently arrived in the United States seeking a better life. Because immigrants were eager to earn a living, factories could easily take advantage of these new Americans. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory employed about 500 people. Most of them were Italian and Jewish immigrant women. Some were as young as 15. They earned about $6 to $10 per week, working 14-hour days sewing clothes. The company occupied the top floors of the Ash Building in New York City's Garment District. When fire broke out on March 25, 1911, it was near closing time, and workers were getting ready to head home. But on the 8th floor, something went terribly wrong. A waste bin of cotton scraps caught fire, most likely from a match or a cigarette butt that had not been fully extinguished. The small fire quickly became a furious blaze. Most of the workers on the 8th and 10th floors were able to escape. But the 9th floor had only 2 exit doors. One door was designed to allow only one worker at a time to exit. The other was locked because the factory owners were afraid that workers might steal. The locked door would prove to be the difference between life and death for the 9th floor workers. They tried to use the building's one fire escape, but it was not designed to hold the weight of more than a few people, and it quickly collapsed from the strain. Those remaining in the building were left with few escape options: brave the flames or drop 100 feet to the pavement. More than 50 workers chose to jump. Horrified onlookers watched as workers fell to their deaths. The remaining workers either barely escaped or perished in the flames. Engine Company 72, the closest fire station, was one of the first on the scene. Other companies also sent wagons rushing to the 4-alarm blaze. Though New York City was famous for having the best firefighting gear in the world, the firemen were unable to extinguish the blaze. The 8th and 9th floors were consumed by flames. By the time the fire had run its course, 146 Triangle employees had died, most of them young women and girls. The death toll was so high that the police established a temporary morgue on the 26th Street Pier. Family members waited in line for hours to try to identify the bodies of their loved ones. The nation and world reacted to the fire with outrage. Though the fire was horrific, it brought about action from the public and some positive results. Frances Perkins, a teacher and a labor reform supporter, witnessed workers jumping to their deaths. It was an event that changed her life. Perkins helped get laws passed to improve worker safety. She became Secretary of Labor in 1933 under President Roosevelt, the first woman cabinet member in U.S. history. Many scholars consider the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire and its aftermath to be the beginning of significant change in the laws protecting workers. Today, American factory workers are much safer as a result. But the Triangle Fire still serves as an extreme example of what can happen when those laws do not exist.